Senator, how was your meeting?
It was good, great. Kash is, doing what he needs to do, get on the Hill, earn the vote of senators. And as I've said before, the game up here is not to put yeses; it's to keep no's off the board. And Kash is going to be able to deliver. We'll be able to get him confirmed. I'm really confident about that.
You feel comfortable voting for him at this point?
I do. I was comfortable beforehand. I've had the privilege of knowing Kash, and we've sat down and talked. Obviously, he's the one that uncovered what was happening at the FBI, the way they were being weaponized against President Trump, and the decisions that was happening during the dossier report and the Russia collusion. You guys are all hoaxed by that. What was going on with Hunter's laptop? He was the one that started bringing that to light. So if you're going to clean up the FBI and actually get them focused on mission rather than politics, but them refocus them on actually putting America first, doing their job, Kash is the perfect person for that.
Are you confident that he's going to be able to stand up to Donald Trump?
What do you mean by stand up to Donald Trump?
I mean, typically the DOJ and FBI should operate independently from the executive branch. Are you confident that there will be that kind of law?
Maybe we should ask the Biden administration that same question. I think there is a lot that works and happens because of the administration. And, you keep in mind the DOJ was obviously weaponized. The FBI was weaponized against Donald Trump. There's no question. There's not a camera in here or a reporter in here that can say any different about that. What we're wanting to do and what Donald Trump wants to do, or President Trump wants to do, and what Kash wants to do is get the DOJ doing their job again, putting the American people first, getting the FBI doing their job again, keeping America safe, letting the agents do their job and stay out of politics, and just put the crimes and going after the terrorist organizations that's coming after us before they look at their political foes.
Senator Tony Buchart with Newsmax, did you have a discussion about potential plans to dismantle the FBI headquarters in Washington? Is that something you would support?
We didn't discuss dismantling. We did discuss ways to fix the FBI. First of all, Kash and I both agree the agents in the field are doing a phenomenal job. This isn't a black eye or an attack on the FBI as a whole. This is about, once again, getting them mission focused again. And what that requires is us cleaning the 7th floor of the Hoover building, understand what their role is, and being focused on that mission. I think Kash can do that. And so we did have those discussions. But as far as dismantling the FBI, no one wants to completely dismantle them. We just want to get them back focused on
Is there
the
a
job.
target list as part of that? Everybody's reporting about a target list of people that would be potentially targeted at the top ranks of the FBI that would be fired. That's
obviously
widely reported.
Director Wray would be fired. I mean, that's obvious. But as far as the list of people, no. And I don't think anybody can actually do that. From somebody that used to buy a bunch of companies and try to get them turned around and get them profitable again. You don't go in there and just clean slate. You go in there and you interview the people, figure out where the problems are, and you get rid of those and keep the good ones.
On FBI whistleblowers, there have been a ton of protected disclosures that have already gone to the House Judiciary Committee. Are those going to be addressed as far as their concerns with the 7th floor as well as with
We're talking about working with the whistleblowers themselves?
Yes.
I would imagine that you've seen the House work really close to the whistleblowers. You saw what came out of Jason Smith's committee, Chairman Smith out of Ways and Means. I think there's going to be continued working with those whistleblowers. They need to, first of all, their identity should be protected. We want to hear what they have to say, and that'll be part of the process of getting the FBI turned around and get them back on getting back focused on what they're doing.
In your opinion, what are Democrats getting wrong here? They're saying,
let me go right here. Go ahead.
What are Democrats getting wrong? They're saying he's a conspiracy theorist. They're saying he's totally out of the mainstream. What are they missing in your opinion?
It's interesting because everybody, right, everybody that's come forth, they continue to use as some type of reason why they can't. You're not qualified to serve, right? They came after Tulsi Gabbard, trying to call her a Russian agent. Come on, give me a break. She's a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. They came after Pete, saying he's a misogynist, and you're just like, come on, guys, give me a break. At the same time, they're not looking at the own nominations that's been put in place by Obama, or by Biden. I mean, you got Pete Buttigieg, like he was really qualified to be the Department of Transportation. You have some really questionable individuals that had some questionable reputation on their nominations. I think the Democrats they're going to continue to try to find somebody that they're going to go after.
Senator,
yes, go ahead.
Were there any discussions about what kind of investigations Kash Patel would prioritize at the FBI, especially investigations into people who have launched investigations over the past few years into Trump and some of his
No,
efforts?
we didn't talk about that at all. What we did talk about is some of the issues we're facing in Oklahoma with McGirt, and some of the issues we're facing around the country with drug trafficking and also human trafficking, and kind of looking at how the agencies can be utilized better rather than everybody kind of having a little piece of the pie, but actually paying attention to what the DEA is focused on, what the FBI is focusing on, what the other agencies are focused on, and how they can start becoming mission central. And that's really going after the crimes that are facing us today, working hand in hand with ICE, and then looking at the organized crime that's been caused by our open border. Those are a lot of conversations that we discussed the whole time we were in there.
Did you guys talk at all about?
Just to follow up on the question about the FBI headquarters, there is the issue of moving it to Virginia or Maryland. Did he have any stance on that, and what would be best for the FBI?
We didn't discuss that, but I would support it. I think a lot of these agencies, a lot of these federal agencies, I don't care if you're talking about the FBI or the other agencies out there, I think there's a reason why we need to be looking to move them out of Washington, D.C. I'd say just one thing, for instance, politically speaking, does Washington, D.C., does it vote like the rest of the people? Because that's why it's been weaponized. You look at it, the last 3 elections we've had, well over 90% of D.C. has went for the Democrat Party. If you're saying that, how can you keep an unbiased opinion out of these agencies? And we want the agencies not to be politicized. We want the agencies to be focused on the American people. I don't care what agencies you're looking at. And if that requires us moving them out of Washington, D.C., then that's exactly what we need to be doing. Yes.
Senator, I want to ask you, did you guys talk at all about potential pardons for...
No. We didn't talk about pardons at all.
He didn't talk about it. He was supportive of that?
Never even was brought up.
Senator,
you mentioned about firing Christopher Wray. Why don't you think he should serve out his full term?
Look at what the FBI has done since he's been director, and that would answer all the questions you need to know. If anybody in this room thinks the FBI hasn't been weaponized, just let's go back and look at the way they treated Donald Trump and the classified material that he had versus President Biden and the classified material that he had. Those 2 cases alone will tell you the FBI is compromised because of Director Wray.
Senator Mullen,
Senator Mullen.
the concerns about, or speculation about him potentially doing investigations into his rivals exist partly because in his book he did publish a list of people that he called, deep state actors and suggested that they were worthy of investigation. You just talked about how you felt like the FBI was weaponized against Donald Trump. Is there a concern that if he were to do that investigation?
You talking about the names that were in the index?
Yeah, that he published it under that list.
Well, I mean, he was.
The same thing?
What I'll go back to the same thing is that he was exposing what was happening in Washington D.C. and what was happening at the FBI headquarters. I'll go back to what I said when I first walked in the room. You remember, Kash is a person that exposed what was actually going on, and with a dossier report, with a Russia collusion, with Hunter Biden's computer. It was Kash that exposed that. Now, to say that he's going to weaponize anything, I would totally disagree with that. The only party that's weaponized the DOJ and the FBI has been the Democrat Party. President Trump did not do that in his first term, so what makes you think he'd do it this time too? Yes.
A president like Trump has such an ambitious agenda and so much that he's asking from the U.S. Senate. I think Senator Cornyn earlier today talked about how you guys are going to have to balance that with some of these nominations that could take some time. And he's sort of asked, Trump has to decide how much political capital he wants to put on some of these nominees that could be a struggle, could have really, really tough hearings. I mean, are you thinking about that? Like, some of them, these hearings could go on, the FBI investigations could go on and on and on. How much political capital do you want to spend on some of these folks?
I don't think the FBI investigation will go on very long. They're going to do the background check and report back to us. Then we can go through the process pretty quick. As far as the political capital, the only one I was concerned about the president spending political capital on was Matt Gaetz. He's no longer in the picture, right? So Pam's going to go through just fine. Kash is going to go through just fine. Tulsi, I mean, all these individuals got to come up here and earn the vote and keep the nose off the board. Pete has done a phenomenal job getting up here and taking the fight straight to the senator's office. It's not his nomination, as he said and that we've said, isn't decided in the media. It's decided in those one-on-one meetings that he's having. You can feel the difference between this week versus next week with Pete. Pete has done a phenomenal job on earning that vote every time he's gone into a meeting. And there's not one single Republican that's opposed any of these nominations that are out there right now.
Well, you said that earlier. You said it's not about getting yeses right now. It's about trying to keep the no's.
Yeah, keeping the no's off the board. That's right. And he's doing that.
What have you heard from rank and file FBI agents in terms of Mr. Patel, as opposed to, say, leadership over at the FBI? Do you see sort of a dichotomy as far as Mr. Patel is concerned, as far as those two factions are concerned?
Not really. Some of these noms out here, they're just not as known to to maybe the senators, and so that process has taken a little bit longer. You look at Mike Waltz, right? Mark Waltz is known by the people up here in the Capitol. You look at Marco Rubio, that he's known up here, and there's no issue really going on there. It's these individuals they're just not as, the senators we're not as familiar with them. I've been fortunate that most of these nominations I know these individuals well, so I feel like I've got a unique seat here. But the rest of it is just that process. We take oversight very, very serious in the Senate. If there's one thing that we actually do well, it's the oversight side of it. And I think every senator is taking that responsibility like they should, extremely serious.
Along those lines, I do want to ask about the FBI background checks. There was a period of time where it wasn't clear if those were going to happen or not. What happened? What changed?
Well, I don't think there was ever a question if it was going to happen. Is this one thing that we want to know is, can the process be done in a timely manner? What we didn't want is the FBI to drag their feet on this, as we've had issues with the FBI politically speaking, and we didn't want them to drag their feet and make this a long, drawn-out process for the FBI checks to come through. And so what we said is, all right, we'll give you the opportunity, but if you start dragging your feet on these individuals, and you start dragging like Cash out, or you start dragging Pete out, or you start dragging Tulsi or some of these other ones out, and you're not getting back to us in a timely manner, then we're willing to go around that. And we will go around it if we have to, but we're giving them the opportunity. Let's get the background checks, treat them just like they have all the rest of the noms. There's no problem with that, but we don't want to let them get politicized. And I got time for one or two more questions.
You mentioned moving agencies outside of Washington, shutting some down, reforming some of them.
I didn't say shutting them down. I just said reforming them and moving them out of D.C. if we have to.
Did Linda McMahon, you met with her last week, did she talk about dismantling the Department of Education, reforming it at all?
Reform, absolutely. Dismantling, no, but reforming the agencies, what they're designed to do, and what their mission was originally and what they're doing today, I think all these federal agencies need to have a hard look at. The American people were very clear about that in the election. They gave President Trump and they gave the Republicans a mandate that they want government to start working for them and not working for a party. We are very serious about that. So every one of these agencies need serious reform. What that reform looks like will depend on each appointment and working with the administration and obviously working with the Senate. But we're all on the same page. There's going to be heavy reforms taking place in these agencies. They have to be.